Warning! Kinda Murdery contains adult themes, explicit language, and descriptions of violence. It is not suitable for anyone, and we recommend you stop listening now.
Hey everybody, Zevon here. You're about to hear my interview with television writer and producer Laura Jacqmin, and she's going to tell you an incredible story from her own life. A story of teenage hijinks, lust, and vampire wannabes in the American Midwest. But before we get started, I wanted to share with you that Laura is an active member of the Writers Guild of America, and the Writers Guild is on strike right now. So out of respect to her and the striking writers, I want to make a couple things clear. First, this interview was recorded in September 2022, long before the writers' strike began on May 2nd of this year. And second, Kinda Murdery stands in solidarity with the writers and wishes them well. And with that, let's start the show. I'm Zevon Odelberg, and this is Kinda Murdery. Please join me as we uncover what truths we can and solve what mysteries we may. Kinda Murdery's Ohio High School Vampire Party with Laura Jacqmin starts now. Hey everybody, I'm stoked because I have a phenomenal human with me here today. She's a woman whose craft and ability is frankly luminescent. A true triple threat, a playwright, a video game writer, a television writer, known for such projects as the Tiger King-inspired Peacock series Joe vs. Carol, Grace and Frankie, Get Shorty, Walking Dead video games, Minecraft story mode, and so much more. Honestly, she has so many impressive credits that I would have cotton mouth by the time I ended up listing them all. A true tower of talent. Laura Jacqmin is here. Hey Laura, how you doing?
Hey, good, how are you?
I am well. Thank you so much for joining me here today.
Happy to be here.
All right, well, let's hop right into it. You know, this show is called Kinda Murdery, and one of the things I like to do, and if you're willing, is there a Kinda Murdery story from the real life of Laura Jacqmin that you could share with us?
There is. So I grew up in Shaker Heights, Ohio, which is, like a suburb of Cleveland. So it's northeast Ohio, relatively city-y, suburby. But a lot of Ohio is not like that. A lot of Ohio is, cow country or middle of nowhere or, not so much going on. So this is in the late 90s. I'd say. I don't remember if I was a freshman or a sophomore. And I had a crush on a goth barista named Gabe, who worked at the coffee shop at the booksellers at Pavilion Mall, RIP booksellers.
By the way, I feel like you're doing the voiceover for the very opening scenes of a Wonder Years-esque television show about your own life. As soon as you said I had a crush on a goth barista named Gabe, I'm like, I am so there for this show.
I don't think tonally this could end up on Wonder Years, but we're gonna do our best.
Right.
So I found out that Gabe was going to be at a Halloween party thrown by mutual friends. And like friends is sort of in quotation marks. So I had a lot of friends who were a few years older than me because my sister
As are most things in middle school.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah. So my sister was, she was either a junior or senior. I was a freshman or sophomore.
Okay, so early high school. Sorry,
yeah, early high school. Early high school. Not quite as scandalous, right? But I was fundamentally, a dork. In the 90s, you're like drinking the top inch off, for parents who did drink, right? You're drinking the top inch off their liquor bottles.
Oh, yeah.
You're smoking the ditchiest of ditchweed.
Yes.
You're from California, so maybe your experience
I know, and
was different.
No, because I'm from the middle of the woods, cow country, California. So I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe our weed's a little better, but the rest of that is spot on.
I would hope so. I don't know the origin of that stuff, but
Turkey
it was not
claw.
great.
Yeah.
It was not great. So we found out that Gabe was going to be at this party, and this party was out in Hinckley, Ohio. Middle of nowhere, right? You can tell from the name, Hinckley. This senior, I think he was a senior at that point, so he was gonna be there. And I was like, okay, so somebody we know is gonna be there. The party was thrown. I think I'm gonna use their regular names because I don't know their last names, right? Party was thrown by this older couple So they were probably like, what, 24? Named David and Michelle.
Yeah, I mean, of course, I was immediately picturing like blue hairs in their 70s when you said older couple, because now I'm 40.
Even wilder. But the thing about David and Michelle was that they had a certain reputation as real-life vampires, and let me explain that. So,
wow, I am loving this, by the way. You get so many brownie points for bringing the real-life vampire high school turkey claw weed story to the show. So I
hung out with a certain crowd. They were famous because they had been featured in a book, an actual published book that I remember reading in the aisles at Borders Books, R.I.P. Borders Books. And I don't remember the name of the book. I don't remember, but it was sort of like, these people are part of a community of people who believe that they are vampires. And what that means is that they do ritualistically drink blood from each other. And I was like, oh my God, we're going to go to a vampires Halloween party. I'm down. This is great. We're going to do this.
Did your parents know that this is where you were going?
Certainly not. Certainly not. So my sister at the time, I don't remember why she didn't want to go, or maybe she had stuff to do, but she was mad that I was going out. And at the time, we shared one pair of combat boots between us. Remember, it was the 90s.
But you both had to wear them because that was your style, each of you. And was your sister older or younger?
Older, 2.5 years older.
So basically, you stole her combat boots. That would be her position on this, I imagine.
I asked politely. I said, I want to wear the boots tonight. And she said, no. And I said, why not? You're staying in. I'm going out. I want the boots. They were from 9 West, by the way. These were not like Docs. These were $49.95. You know what I mean?
Right.
You could sort of play them off as combat boots, but they were like just boots, leather boots. Our bedrooms were across the hall from each other. And as I was sort of haranguing her, I had my hand sort of on the outside edge of her door frame as I was yelling at her. She was like, fine, I'll give you the boots. And she slammed her door, sort of having that torque effect of several of my fingers in the door. So it like pulled the skin away from the nails. I screamed. Yeah, it was not great.
Were your fingers in the crack?
They were in the crack. So it was like the door
my gosh.
scraped.
You're lucky they didn't get severed off.
I mean, well, they weren't quite that far in, but it hurt like hell.
Oh my God, yes.
I was screaming and crying, whatever. But of course I was like, I still want to go to this party. You know, I'm 14 or 15. I want to go to this party.
Right, you're just gonna take a lot more than losing a few fingers to stop you from going to the real life vampires Halloween blood drinking party
in Hinckley, Ohio. Yeah, 100%. So, I iced it. I told my mom, I'm fine. I put on the combat boots, and the plan was we were gonna go over to our friend Tony Berry's house, who was also an incredibly cool goth, because her mom was chill. And were you
goth at this point? Were you like makeup and pouting and the whole deal?
I was not all the way, but I was. Oh God, you have to remember, this is a time when you were the same age. So I definitely was. On my first day of freshman year, I had bleached my hair blonde over the summer, which infuriated my father. I was wearing fake nails that I had painted black. I was wearing like all black flare. I was in all black, whatever. I didn't do like the pale makeup because I'm pretty pale to start with. I don't need much help.
That's already applied naturally by God. Yeah.
Good to go. But no, my freshman year yearbook pic, I'm wearing like copper lipstick. I mean, it's hideous. It's hideous.
It's funny because I must have met you sophomore year or something then, because to me, you look like you have not aged a day. You look exactly as I recall you in college.
That's very kind of you. I wanted to be seen as older. I wanted to be seen as mature. And I thought that all black would help with that, and having crushes on goth baristas. So we get to Tony's house, and the plan is like, we're going to borrow her clothes because she had cooler goth clothes than we did.
She had the full Wednesday Addams in the closet.
Whole thing, the ripped fishnets, the fishnet gloves, the black lipsticks, all this stuff.
Nice.
So we get all dressed up, and the plan is the cover story was we're sleeping over at her house. But in reality, we're going to go out to this party that's an hour away.
It's funny because, as you say, the plan was we're sleeping at her house. It makes me think of Stranger Things and how these kids are like busy saving the world and almost dying on a daily basis, and the parents are just so blissfully oblivious to what's actually going on. Fast forward to now, where everyone, at least everyone I know, including my wife and I, are some version of a helicopter parent who practically has like an elf on the shelf like glued into their children's clothing, and but it makes me think like Stranger Things is a lot more accurate than I think it is watching as a parent, because you're absolutely right. When we were kids, you could just be like, Mom, Dad, I'm going to blah, 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 blah. I'll be back, blah, and they'd be like, okay, bye.
Oh, yeah. No, and you know, as a teenage girl, you had to get so creative because you couldn't kiss boys at the parents' house, right? So you quickly learned, you were like, well, if it's the winter, there's a little, what do you call, a little gazebo at the nature center that they can't see from the road, or there is this church parking lot that you can go and park at. Yeah, and your parents are just kind of like, did you have a nice time? And you're like, going upstairs. Everything's fine.
It's so funny that you mentioned that, because yes, absolutely. We had our own gazebos. It was actually duck blinds at the nature preserve. Nice. There was a bird sanctuary that was actually, of course, the water treatment plant. And that was one of the few places you could go walking with someone and eventually achieve a modicum of privacy. Right. So I love how, you know, here I am, California, you're in Ohio, but we're the same age and had roughly the same childhood, it sounds like. So that's wonderful. Even with the gender difference and everything else.
Absolutely. And usually I got caught at almost everything. But this party, I did not get caught. So we drive the hour out to Hinckley. It's cold, right? Because in Ohio, often it's snowing the week of
it's freezing ass,
Halloween.
Midwest, yeah.
So we drive out there and we get to what is a pretty normal suburban-y house. Mm-hmm. And I kind of walk in. And so I did know 4 total people there, right? I knew Tony. I knew my friend Kat. I knew this other guy who was the mutual friend. And I knew Gabe a little bit. Right. Although I think Gabe was like not there for a big chunk of the party. So it's an immediate disappointment when your crush does not show at the place they're supposed to be. Right.
Gabe the babe was
Gabe
absent.
The babe with his long black hair. So, you know, I'm trying to hang at this party. I am historically unable to hang. That has been just the story. I mean, the number of college stories I could tell you about trying to punch above my weight and just
be cool and chill and hang. Yeah, it's hard.
The number of blunt passing competitions with 10 dudes passing 4 blunts around and me being like, I can hang, and then falling asleep in a pizza place and being escorted home by kind souls. Cannot hang. So I quickly realized, everyone's drinking at this party. And I was still, you know, nervous and 14 or 15. But I was like, but they do have something that is liquor, but not, which is blackberry brandy, right? Which is any of those things. It's like Kool-Aid with alcohol in it. So I start drinking blackberry brandy. I am not long for this party because 2 things happen.
All that sugar? Whew.
All that sugar, you know, probably empty stomach. You know, there's like Cheetos at the party, something like that. I check their fridge because I'm looking for something that's not blackberry brandy to drink. And I check the freezer. And in the freezer, again, I'm sure that this is like, you know, some pretentious, you know, because they're vampires, right? They literally had blood in the freezer. They had
bags of blood?
Ziploc bags, labeled, frozen, you know. Obviously, like, now that I'm older, I can be like, this is like this affectation of theirs, that this is not like...
It's pretty horrifying, though. Either any way you slice it, whether it's an affectation or not. I mean, you're like, I'm looking for a non-alcoholic drink, and my options are type O negative or AB positive. Yeah, great.
Yeah. So that was unsettling. And then Tony, because this is pre-cell phone, right? So Tony, we've been at the party a little while. Tony calls her mom to check in. Except Tony's mom says, hey, so Laura's mom called. She's worried about her. Because remember, by the way, I'm in some stupid all-black ensemble, plus a massive bandage around 3 of my fingers because they got slammed
and
in
you're
the door.
14 years old, basically.
Maybe
you're
15.
a little
Yeah,
kid.
and I'm young. I'm young. So Tony's mom is like, her mom is going to pick her up at midnight. And we were like, fuck, oh my God, we're an hour away in Hinckley and it's already like 10:30.
So did Tony's mom know that you guys were at the party? I mean, you were supposed to be
chill.
at Tony's house, but Tony's parents were cool.
They were chill. They were chill. They knew the whole deal. They knew the deal. And she was a couple years older than I was, so they were chill.
Ironically, the chill parents make me feel like you guys were much safer than I felt a moment ago. Like, even though other parents might disapprove, the fact that there were a set of adults that actually knew where you guys were and what you were up to, like, phew.
100%. By the way, your audio has gotten, not mine, but your audio has gotten weirdly distorted.
Oh, I think that I was just getting excited and leaning forward and moved away from my mic. Is that better?
It's like buzzy. I didn't know if that was, I wanted to warn you.
Okay. Well, the good news is most of the worthwhile things being said are being said by you, and I can always ADR my own stuff. So let's just keep going along. This is a wonderful story, by the way. I have to say, I mean, you're such an accomplished storyteller. I suppose I should have had, massive expectations, but you've just blown me away with how incredible this story is. I was not expecting like real life frozen Ohio vampires with refrigerators full of blood, severed fingers. This couldn't get any better or any more murdery. So please,
classic Ohio childhood.
You find out you're about to get caught by your mom for being at the vampire coven. Got it.
So all of a sudden, we're making the calculus, which is it's going to take an hour to get home. She's picking me up at midnight. It's already like, 10:30 something.
Right.
And just at this point was when Gabe arrived.
Oh.
And very quickly it turned into, a bunch of people were going to go out and play. I don't know if now it's something that you would call LARPing, right? At the time, it might have just been... Which is
live action role playing, and for anyone who's actually cool listening to this.
So maybe it was even like there is like the vampire LARP, or maybe it was something more casual than that.
It's probably Anne Rice. If this was the 90s, I'm sure it was Anne Rice related.
Definitely.
I would guess. Yeah.
Definitely. So I was like heartbroken because Kat was like, no problem. I'll drive you back and then I will drive back to the party. Because when you're like 17. Yeah, when you're 17 in Ohio, it's like you have nothing else to do, right? Then drive 40 miles and then 40 miles again.
Right.
So I'm like saying my goodbyes and I'm super bummed because my crush just got there, but nothing's going to happen. I'm also like, again, 14. So what?
And by the way, up to this point, have you had any interactions with Gabe that have made you optimistic about your prospects here? Or is it just pure fantasy that somehow it was going to sweep you up into his undead arms and vampire kiss you into the night?
I feel like there had been several run-ins at the bookstore where it's like, how when you're a teenager and you encounter someone and you order a drink and they're nice to you, you're like, we have a connection. Mm-hmm. This is, and I think I did ask for his number. Like, I think I did have his number. So it wasn't completely based on false hope. There was something.
So Laura, I think when you say when you're a teenager, you're saying that because you're a woman. I just want to give you a little insight into the male psyche.
Please.
The way we work is anytime any female is even remotely polite to you, speaks, smiles, says hello, you're like, oh my God, she loves me. She wants me bad. So men never grow out of that false hope presumption phase, which is why so many of us are like weird, creepy jerks, because we're like, oh, if you treat me like a human being, you must be in love with me because I only treat people that I'm in love with like human beings. So,
accurate. So, I was in love with him, and who knows? I will never know how Gabe really felt. Well, something does happen that will give you some indication. But so I'm saying my goodbyes at this party. I'm drinking blackberry brandy, and David, remember David, one of the vampires.
One of the real life vampires.
Mm-hmm. So another thing I had found out was that they have an open relationship. Now in 2022, I know more people who are like, that's our deal. And I'm like, go with God. That's great. That works for you. Have fun with that. Back in the 90s, this was not really a thing that I necessarily understood or believed or whatever.
Even now, I think it rarely works
Right.
out. I mean, one of those doors is usually far more open than the other one. Let's put it that way.
Seems to be the case. Again, for folks who it works for, great. Awesome.
Yeah. Good for you.
So David starts chatting me up and saying, that sucks. Like, we just got to, we're getting to know you, and I'm so sorry you have to leave the party. And I'm so, that hand, that looks really bad. That's so bad.
That must have given you some goth street cred, the injury, the bandages.
I mean, you would think, but you just look like you're wrapped in toilet paper when you're bandaged up.
So, by the way, is David, is he underage like you, or is he a full-on adult chatting you up?
He's a full-on adult. Again, it's
Right.
the 90s, right? So what I'm about to tell you can be cushioned a little by the fact that it is the 90s. But what David does when he says, oh, let me hug you goodbye, is instead he goes for a full open-mouthed kiss, right?
Ooh.
And in my shock, I drop the glass of blackberry brandy, which shatters all over the suburban basement floor, which in retrospect is a very good defense mechanism when you're like, I'm being kissed by a vampire. And I didn't sign up for that. I'm not traumatized by this.
A vampire pedophile, sort of,
it's
at least by our
hilarious.
standards today. I mean,
It's hilarious.
maybe it's because I grew up then, but I don't feel like the 90s was that long ago, and like he shouldn't have been open mouth kissing a 15-year-old girl in the basement.
I don't disagree with you. I do not disagree with you. Hence my shock, right?
Right.
But also I got my revenge because some of the broken glass got him. And also I think I ruined his vampire pants a little bit because blackberry brandy stains.
Nice.
So-
And you might have piqued Gabe's interest even more if word got out that the host vampire was slobbering
Was into
on
me.
you.
Yes,
Yeah.
was into the 15-year-old. So, we leave. Kat and I leave. We drive back home. I'm weirdly exhilarated because I did sneak out to a party. Get home, never get caught. My mom picks me up at midnight, suspects nothing, never the wiser. She never found
That's
out
amazing.
about it. But
So-
then Monday at school, I find out. After I left, Gabe hooked up with my friend Tony. And I
Wait,
just
the
died
friend
a
that
little
you
dad.
went there with explicitly to try to get with Gabe?
Yes.
That bee.
I know. I was very sad, but also she was so cool. They had matching clothes and hair. I could not fault
So
them.
did you just kind of feel like it was inevitable? Like, were you mad at Tony about this, or were you just like, she always gets the boys?
Oh, not really. You're semi heartbroken, and then you're like, what about that boy in my English class? And you
Okay, so you remained friends with Tony after this.
I did, and then she graduated, and then I stopped being a goth, and but
Right.
I'll always have that vampire party in Hinckley, Ohio.
That's an amazing story and an amazing memory. I have to ask you now, as far as the guy who open mouth kissed you all of a sudden, much to your shock, is that a traumatic memory, or
No.
did it kind of it made
No.
the night even more awesome, I imagine, right?
So it's weirdly sort of in between, where when you are 14 or 15, any person showing interest in you, when
Right.
you're so full of, you're just like vibrating with like, will somebody like me? Will somebody, any
Insecurities
attention
and
is
wonder,
a little bit
yeah.
bolstering.
Mm-hmm.
But also,
yeah.
it was not something that I could pretend to be cool with. And
Right.
then instantly, even though he had been, oh my God, he's a vampire and he's so cool and this is his house party, instantly you're kind of like, you're one of those. So then he
Right.
just stops being cool, and then you just realize, oh, you're just a creep. You're just a creep with a wife and blood in the
Right.
freezer who tried to kiss
Right.
me. Yeah.
Right. And that's something I'm glad you were able to instantly realize. That speaks to your maturity and intelligence. I feel like when I was in high school, there were always like the hot, cool, mature girl who was somewhere between like a junior or a senior, who inevitably had, and again, like you said, the 90s, inevitably had like a 30-year-old boyfriend who went to junior college. And she was hot and cool, but he was such a loser. And this is an archetype that kept repeating in life. And you always want to say to those 15, 16 something year old girls, like, look, he's with you because he literally cannot get women his own age. He lives in his mother's basement, and he's fishing with dynamite because of what you just described, which is at that age, what did you say? You're vibrating with somebody. Please, like say it again. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but that was so spot on. Yeah. So that's the thing, right?
No, it's a horror story. To you as a dad, that's a horror story. To me as a girl,
no, absolutely.
I was like, this is a story. And that's the thing. I think even at that point, I was like, this whole night is just so wild. And again, nothing super, it's not like the plot of Booksmart. It's not like super bad. But for me, I was like, well, this is as good as it gets.
Yeah. Well, and any kind of edgy experience like that doesn't end horribly generally ends up being a good memory because, what are our lives but a collection of stories? And what a fantastic story that is.
Yeah.
But yeah, to your point, as a father, I'm sitting here thinking like some guy who drinks human blood for fun just put his open mouth all over my daughter's face.
Yep. Yep.
Yikes. Oh, what a story. Wow. That was one of the best, if not the best guest Kinda Murdery story we have ever had on this show.
I'm so glad.
Laura, thank you so much for being here with me today. I've had such a blast. I know our listeners are going to really enjoy it. Like I said, that story you just told was off the charts good. And I just really appreciate you taking the time to connect with me here today on Kinda Murdery.
You're so welcome. It was so much fun.
Awesome. For Laura Jacqmin, I'm Zevon Odelberg. And this has been Kinda Murdery.